But we also have a larger controversy, and I'm joined here with Andrii Marusov, who is the chairman of the board at Transparency International Ukraine, as we are following the issue of the new law, which is considered to be controversial, as it puts some pressure, as it's considered, on the anti-corruption NGO, and as they are supposed, beside the civil servants and judges and government employees, to declare their wealth. What we knew from the last program, that it was expected that maybe there would be amendments and it wouldn't be there because some of the things are unconstitutional. The activists had met the president, but in the end he had signed the law. So what at this stage, the Transparency International were speaking really against that law and calling to abolish it. So can you explain what's really happening now?
So yeah, you rightfully mentioned that meeting of Poroshenko with the civic activists, because at that meeting, actually, Poroshenko admitted and agreed that actually that scandalous norm was unconstitutional, and that it was a mistake, and it should be corrected. Basically, it should be eliminated from the law. And then he also proposed to set up the working group with the civic activists, etc., etc. So what we do see now is that there is no need to set up any working group, because according to the Ukrainian traditions, any working group is just like a burial site for any initiative, you know. If actually the president himself, he agreed that, okay, it was nonsense, softly speaking, then okay, there is no need for further consultations or negotiations. What actually the presidential administration should do is just to make very short draft law and submit it to the parliament, and to secure certainly the support of the bloc of Petro Poroshenko, of People's Front, and of other factions in the parliament.
But what is there? Because you know, there is a debate in the Ukrainian society. A lot of people support. There are other people in the civil society as well who are maybe not anti-corruption activists, but also some of the politicians. Then why not? Why not to be transparent? And many people just don't understand what's wrong, and why all of a sudden those anti-corruption activists want to hide their wealth and, you know, speak against transparency.
Yeah, it's you know, it's very funny discussion in, I would say, like a post-Soviet society with a very low legal culture. Because, for example, when I am speaking to any like foreign journalists, and I spoke with some of them this last week, so they stopped me just after the first sentence that actually, you know, there is like a bullshit and nonsense when just ordinary citizens who happen to be active citizens, they are obliged to submit these electronic declarations as civil servants, but they are not given their powers. You know, and for any foreign kind of like German or whatever, you know, like French or UK journalists, okay, stop. Yeah, I understand that it is unconstitutional. It's just a bullshit, you know. For them, it's I mean, it goes without saying that it is unconstitutional.
We just see the video. That would be some of the activists who went to meet the president and more or less had this talk about abolishing, or the, not at least at that moment he still could veto it. But what it was said right after, that more or less there was some feeling of the betrayal, that there was a discussion, but in the end, in a few hours, Mr. Poroshenko has just, you know, enforced it.
Yeah, that's it.
And it was like considered a big loss for the civil society.
Yeah, for sure. Just because it, I mean, it resembles so much of the foreign agents' law adopted by Putin. Because actually, basically, even the wording is about anti-corruption organizations who receive technical, also kind of like receive foreign technical assistance from whatever international programs, international projects, or foreign governments. This is what actually Mr. Putin tried to do and was successful in establishing this, you know, like a control, including also Transparency Russia, our colleagues in the chapter. And actually, they were the first who were so shocked after this adoption of this law, they were actually shocked. And okay, guys, what is going on back in Ukraine? We thought that okay, you just like broke any ties, with all these like a Putin-style practices, but not, unfortunately.
And we, of course, are ready to talk to the parties who voted for that law, to the members of parliament, and I should ensure our audience that we had put enough of energy to ask the different members of parliament, to those who voted for that law, to be here in the studio or give us a comment. But we're glad that we have Volodymyr Ariev, who is a Ukrainian MP from Petro Poroshenko bloc, with us, at least on phone. And that would be the question to Volodymyr. Really, there is a... Thanks a lot for joining. There is a lot of criticism from the civil society and from the various institutions that this law isn't constitutional. So why would the party vote for it? Why the president and the president party would still go on with that? You probably have heard all the arguments against it.
Well, I see this sort of manipulation from all sides discussing this legislation, as well as from MPs who have been voting for that act, and NGOs too. So what I see in this case as well was absent during this voting. I didn't vote for that, but and as well I didn't research too deep this matter. I couldn't give you a clear answer that was it right or not. From one hand, the transparency is good in any case, and we have been informed with some cases when NGOs working with anti-corruption cases where they had some activists that were catched up with blackmailing some persons or having bribes. And some NGOs are under the control of some politicians, and they are not really NGOs. Sometimes also we have the stories about the apartments, luxury apartments bought by in the most expensive area in Kiev for the cost of unclear origin. So I think it's like a Hippocratic oath that someone who fighting against corruption should heal itself and show transparency from itself. And we need to research more deep the international experiences, because non-profit organizations have a very special kind of reports for their incomes in the United States of America, in Romania, or in other states. So I think if NGOs want to achieve something, they will do it for sure. So I think they have an idea to make roundtables with politicians to discuss it. I think maybe it's good to withdraw some points of the adopted act, but we have a time until 2018 when, according to the new legislation, discuss that.
Volodymyr, thanks a lot. We really appreciate your explain the position of the party and the position of why this law had been voted. Unfortunately, of course, the phone line is not the best way to argue on that issue, but we really would like to have the better discussion. But at least we appreciate that you talk to us. I think we would be definitely better to have like a proper argument with the people in the studio. But that's not very easy to have it. We're really trying hard. But you've heard I also should mention that there was a bit of the thing saying that some things about the flats and apartments, I think that was about the MPs. If we speak about the recent cases of the people who hadn't declared or to whom there was some kind of questions from the society, it was not about the anti-government, or not anti-government, I'm sorry, anti-corruption activists. So, Andrii, what would you answer on that?
No, actually,
this is to understand that it's a very kind of a common argument we hear here about all this hypocrisy which is taking place.
What I would like to refer to what Mr. Ariev was saying is that actually, okay, if the purpose of the authors of this draft law, or now the law, true purpose would be to clean, to make transparent the civil society sector, I mean, then they would apply and propose different measures. And actually, he just mentioned is that in some countries there is a special public reports for NGOs. For example, in UK, charitable foundations, they're obliged to publish on a special website their financial reports. They're not lengthy, but at least they allow for any UK citizen or anybody, to check, okay, what are the revenues, whether actually this charitable foundation does exist. Then certainly we can use the same for the Ukrainian NGOs, not only anti-corruption NGOs, but for all NGOs and for all charitable organizations, starting 1st January next year. Okay.
Beside that, there is definitely the demands of the donors, for instance, to really have that transparency. Yeah. But the last point would be from me. So what are we expecting at this moment? Are there still any debates? Because as it looks, the law is there, that's it.
What we do expect, as I said at the very beginning, we do expect that actually Mr. Poroshenko, he would do the next step, which he actually promised to do. Okay, yeah. He promised that, okay, yeah, we will submit, I will submit as a presidential draft law, the draft law, we're canceling, abolishing these or a couple of these, scandalous norms in the law. Certainly we can, help his administration in just looking through, and be sure that there is nothing, hidden corruption, bugs or something like that is absent there.
Andrii, so thanks a lot.